This week it's going to be um, 2 second lean. Details about that, but like lean, like lean processing. This comes from Toyota. It's also known as TBP, the Toyota Business Process, and like this is what like Toyota implemented like across like all their manufacturing, which has like transformed them overnight, right? From overnight, but now they have like the record of being like super high quality, like good prices, like one of the best places to work. Like their people don't leave because everybody loves working there. And the idea is continuous improvements. And like we have that in our core values, right? Like continuous improvements to the process. And so there's a book about that called 2 Second Lean, where it's a guy who owns like a cabinet shop. Actually, it's Fast Cap. Uh, they make like woodworking tools and like stickers that go over like screw holes, and like the glue bot, like those glue pots, like so they make those. So the owner of that company implemented like the Toyota business process of just like continuous improvement and like removing inefficiencies, and then wrote this book, which is very good about that. But his thing is, and there's like, because that whole process is Japanese, right? Like Toyota's from Japan, and like the Japanese have like this very specific process of like Kaizen moments where they'll like go into the factory and like see, okay, what can we improve? What can we make more efficient? But then, he went to Japan, learned this, brought it back to North America, but simplified it. So like, what improvement can we make in 2 seconds that just makes your life easier? So you ask yourself, like, what's annoying about my day? And like, what's just something that bothers you and pisses you off? Like, well, I'm sanding and I have to walk to the other end of the shop to get sandpaper. Like, it's annoying. Like, okay, well, what's a 2 second improvement? You just take the rack with the sandpaper and put it closer to the workstation, right? And now, instead of going back and forth 4 times every day while you're sanding something, then you just go once, and like over the course of a day, it might be 20 steps, but you save 40 steps and you're less tired at the end of the day, and more work got done. And like those like tiny improvements like stack up and compile until like, and the way he describes it is like, once you've made lots of these improvements, then like everything becomes more pleasant. Like it's nicer to work when like everything's within reach, everything makes sense. You're not doing like redundant tasks. That's the idea with 2 Second Lean. And like with our processes, one of the things actually we'll talk about, like Q4 goals, is to have like a really specific set of like products of like what we do and what we don't do. Because right now we're still like, we'll say yes to lots of things, like variety, like, oh yeah, framing, yeah, we can do that. But instead, what I'm imagining is like, we have a catalog, be like, yeah, we can do wainscoting. Here's 3 styles of wainscoting, pick one, right? Instead of just being like, oh, we'll build what you want, like just choose one, like a restaurant, right? You don't like go to the restaurant and tell the chef like, oh, I'd like you to make me some like eggs with chicken and asparagus. Like, no, there's a menu, and you get to choose, but choose from their menu. So that's what I want to have, and be like, okay, you want like a grid paneled wall like this, then we can have standard rates, because then that allows us to create the efficiencies and be like, okay, we're always going to make these walls out of 1x3, so we can have 1x3 in stock, right? We can have stuff pre-cut if we know 8-foot ceilings, like have it in the right dimensions, whatever we need, yeah, and create those efficiencies. But that's the idea. So like for everyone, like if there's things that you notice are inefficient, like it could even be like the way the van is laid out, right? And like, oh, I have to look through all the shelves every time I need a certain type of screw, like, right? Then you just label the shelves, make sure like everyone knows this is where the screw goes. So those are like the lean improvements. And then the important part is, though, that we document any improvements that you make, because when new people come into the company and we'll be like, yeah, this is the specific way we do this. Some people are like, oh, well, why do you do that? Like, why don't we do it my way? But then so what we want to do is record it before and after. Be like, so before it was annoying because I had to walk to get the sanding pads. Then we moved them over here and it's more efficient. So then people can understand like the thinking and the process behind each improvement. And then they'll be on board to be like, oh yeah, like this is how we make improvements. This is why the way things are, because we've tried it other ways, and this is what works better. And then I'll give you there's a list like with this TBP. Show you. Basically, there's a list that makes things inefficient. Okay, so there's like eight wastes. Okay, so defects. So defects like waste from product or service, failure to meet customer expectations, because then we have to like redo it. So our table didn't meet the customer expectations. We had to redo it. right? So that was a waste of time. So it was a big waste of time to have to rebuild that. Overproduction. This is more like with manufacturing, but it still applies to us. So like waste from making more product than customers need. So if we build 100 cutting boards and then you have a pile of inventory and you have to move it around, it's in the way, keep it clean, like it'll probably get damaged at some point. So like an efficient company, they don't have piles of inventory. They just produce what customers actually need, like what the demand is. Waiting. Can anyone just like guess what like the description of this would be? So like time spent waiting for the next step to occur in the process. Like maybe we're milling lumber and somebody's using the table saw and whoever is milling the lumber has to stand there and wait to be able to use the table saw, right? So waiting. And then this happens a lot with sub trades. So like, well, we can't go and work until the drywall is done, right? So yeah, especially construction, that becomes a waste. Unused talent, like waste, underutilization of people skills, talent, knowledge. So like, yeah, this could be like if you're doing stuff below your pay grade. Like I could go clean the washrooms, but it doesn't really make sense for me to clean the washrooms. I should be calling customers and booking more work. We can hire somebody to like clean the washrooms or transportation. And this isn't like putting stuff on a truck to transport it. It's like we have to carry this from this end of the shop to that end of the shop and then over to somewhere else and then carry it into the side room. Just like inefficiencies and like moving things around. Yeah, because that wastes time. So it can be like products, materials, like, yeah, taking materials to site and this is the wrong material and you have to bring it back. Inventory. This was like, it's similar to overproduction, but yeah, just waste resulting from excess products and materials that aren't processed. So like maybe we just have like a pile of material that's waiting to be processed and like, so it's inventory, right? It's unfinished inventory. Then like we might have a stack of lumber. So I'll give you an example. Like when my shop was my mom's 2-car garage, I was doing a walnut staircase and I ordered like a lift, like a whole lift of walnut, right? So like a pile like this big, like 12 feet long. And like I already had like table saw and all the machines set up in the garage. And then like I pile all this lumber and now I have to like climb over it every time like I need something. I'm like crawling over this pile of lumber and I probably moved it back and forth like 20 times because I was like, oh, I need some space here so I can like use a machine. And then it's just like, it was a huge waste of time. And like, all it was a pile of wood on the ground, but it slowed everything down for like several months while it was sitting there. So that's one example. Motion, yeah, waste of time and effort related to unnecessary movements by people. So yeah, that's like I was saying, you're in the shop doing something, going back and forth. Or maybe like there's no parking and you have to park the van. I've done this before, like you park the van 2 blocks away and like, oh, I forgot the screwdriver. And you go back, walk back to site. Oh, I forgot the glue. And then, right, and then at the end of the day, you're like, why am I so tired? You spent half the day just walking instead of like, back the van up, unload everything once, then go park it. So motion and extra. Waste related to more work or higher quality than is required. So this would be just like doing things that aren't necessary. Like some people will stain the back of a cabinet that's going against the wall. Well, that's just extra processing. Like that's not creating value for the customer because it's going to get screwed into the wall. So, that's causing our expenses to be higher and it doesn't help anyone. So that would be like extra processing. So something that's just unnecessary or like, sanding studs, like you're putting studs into the wall. I'm going to sand these down so they're nice. Like, no, it's a stud that goes in the wall that doesn't need to be processed. So sort of like the best way to think about these, and this comes from like the author, the owner of FastCap, is like, how can we best serve the customer? So like, if we're producing things with defects and then we have to like go back and do repairs, well, like that doesn't serve the customer because they want to get their product, they want to be able to use it. Like anything else, like overproduction, waiting, transportation, because like when somebody wants something from us, like they probably want it as soon as possible, right? And they want it to like their level of quality, and like all these things that just waste time, then like it's adding more cost. Like, so their thing is going to be more expensive. They're going to have to wait longer. So that's like a filter that we can use to be like, yeah, like the other example, extra processing, does this help the customer? Does it create more value for them? No. Like extra motion, taking extra long on a job, no, that doesn't help it get done any sooner. It's not helping the customer. So these are things that we can look for and then like use those like 2-second improvements to overcome these. So it'd be the motion, be like, okay, we're gonna we're going to make sure that we park near the job site on the right side of the street so we can unload. Or we're not going to order, like, we can order the materials, but we're not going to get it delivered to the shop until the day before we're going to start working on the thing. And then, like, the idea is we can, any ideas that anyone has for these, we document these, and then that starts to become, like, goes into the Trainio playbooks and that. So the new people can be on board with that. Any questions? If anyone's interested in this book, in 2 Second Lean, like it's a short book. If anyone's interested, I can get some copies. Okay. Any questions? Anything else?
What's the method for implementing it? Everyone goes by their own practice and thoughts, or do we have like a procedure?
So, like, if you want to make an improvement,
Just to prevent those 8 days or the 20-second lean method.
Yeah. So, with these, like, our processes and procedures that we have documented should, like, address these. So if we want to, like, we're like, oh, hang on, we're doing something that's causing us to wait too long. So if we want to make an improvement there, then communicate it, like you tell me. But then we'll, like, document it, like, before and after, and, like, make the improvement, and then it'll go into Trainio as a process and be like, I don't know what the process could be. If somebody else is using the table saw and you only need to do a little cut, just, like, get the other table saw from the bay. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good to know. Because we had a similar thing in the oil and gas company based on the standard and ISO, and they had procedures for every single thing, and that's how standards work. And for that case, they had room for improved procedure, which you would report a couple of examples and then match it with one of the procedures, and then you would propose the improvement and then record it after. And you would assess the actions that were taken based on that suggestion, and then if it was valuable, it would become the new way of doing things.
Because we're small, we should be able to, like, move quickly on stuff.
Yeah.
And just make changes, but that was good.